Welcome back to a new video. In this series, we focus on minor deities, divine figures with more specific domains, often assisting or acting under Olympians. This video is about all the 10 minor deities we discussed in this series. We start the video with number 1. Eros. Not the winged boy of Valentine's cards but the ancient, chthonic Eros. He is a primordial god of irresistible desire and creative chaos. Before love was sweet, it was overwhelming. Before it was romantic, it was cosmic. Eros symbolizes a primordial desire. In the earliest Greek cosmologies, Eros is not a cherub with a bow. He is the force of attraction that drew form from chaos, that made beings unite, separate, and create. A cosmic compulsion. Eros is not love as a choice, he is love as inevitability. A divine push toward union, generation, and transformation. And he symbolizes life and death intertwined. Eros is just as present in the darkness of the underworld as in the blooming of spring. Creation and destruction are part of the same cycle and Eros drives it all. Origins and family. In the Orphic and Hesiodic traditions, Eros is one of the first gods to emerge from chaos along with Gaia, Earth, Tartarus, the Abyss, and Nyx, Night. He is not born, he simply is. In other traditions, he is the child of Nyx, alone desire birthed in the depths of night. Or of Aphrodite and Ares, giving him a more Olympian, anthropomorphic form. But in this series, we focus on the older version. Eros is a primordial, chthonic force, the invisible thread that ties souls, lovers, gods, and even atoms together. Eros in the underworld. Though rarely seen as a ruler of the dead, Eros plays a role in many underworld tales. He binds Hades and Persephone in their strange, eternal marriage. He lingers in Orphic hymns, where the soul's journey through death is also a longing, a hunger for reunion, for return. In funeral rites, the Greek dead were honored with tokens of beauty and affection, signs that even in death, Eros endures. Eros isn't just the beginning of life. He is the unspoken force that urges souls forward even into darkness. Myths and stories involving Eros. Myth number 1, the first pulse of the cosmos. In the beginning, there was chaos, empty, yawning nothingness. But then came Eros. Not with arrows, but as a golden shimmer in the dark. Eros did not speak, but his presence caused the first beings to yearn. Gaia longed for Uranus. Nyx bore children of night and shadow. From stillness came motion, from silence song. All of it stirred by Eros. He is not love as we know it, but the original ache. Myth number 2, Psyche's descent. In a later tale, we meet Eros as the secretive lover of Psyche, a mortal woman. When Psyche is cast down to the underworld to complete impossible tasks for Aphrodite, it is not her strength that guides her but her longing for Eros. Even in Hades, her desire sustains her. She passes through the shadows not with hate, but with love. And Eros, silent and unseen, watches from afar. It is through this journey that Psyche is made immortal, proving that love, even in its darkest trials, is transformative. Myth number 3, the binding of the gods. One Orphic fragment tells of Eros, older than Zeus, binding the first gods together with invisible chains. They do not speak of it, but none can resist him. He joins night with darkness. He calls Gaia to shape. He urges Kronos to act. Even the gods of order and reason are helpless before him. Not because he is cruel, but because he is inevitable. Worship and depiction. As a primordial, chthonic being, Eros was worshipped in mystery cults and poetic hymns more than in temples. The Orphics sang of him as the first god, hatched from the world egg, with golden wings and flashing eyes. He was sometimes depicted as a serpent, a symbol of both renewal and death. Or as a beautiful youth, but more terrifying than charming, a face that reminds mortals of everything they cannot control. Eros was invoked in rites of fertility, death, and rebirth. Because to the ancients, desire was not light-hearted, it was sacred, terrifying, and deep. Number 2 is Nike. Not the modern brand, but the ancient winged goddess of victory. She moves between realms, battlefield and underworld, heaven and earth. Nike isn't just about triumph. She's about struggle, finality, and the thin, breathless line between survival and oblivion. Nike symbolizes victory through struggle. Nike appears not before the battle, but after. She represents the moment of decision, when fate tilts, when the dust clears and only one side stands. A divine favor and moral fate. In Greek thought, success wasn't just effort, it was granted. Nike is that blessing, that sudden gust of fortune at the finish line. And she symbolizes boundary crossing. Though often linked to the Olympians, Nike has roots in older, more primal forces. She soars from Olympus to the underworld, carrying the final verdict. Origins and family. Nike is the daughter of Pallas, the titan of warcraft, and Styx, the goddess of the underworld river of Odes. This makes Nike Parthenic by blood. She is born of discipline and strife, oath and consequence. Her siblings are Kratos, the god of strength, Bia, the goddess force, and Zealous, the god of rivalry. Together, they represent the forces that enable victory, but Nike is the moment of completion. When Zeus began his war against the Titans, Styx and her children were the first to side with him. Nike stood by Zeus not as a servant, but as the seal of his right to rule. Nike in the underworld. Though she is seen on victory monuments and trophies, Nike also dwells in darker places. In funeral games, Nike presides over contests to honor the dead, turning grief into glory. In Orphic traditions, she is invoked in soul journey rituals, symbolizing the soul's victory over the body. And in epitaphs, Nike appears as a winged figure carrying the soul upward, not unlike Hermes, but with a finality he lacks. Victory, after all, means the end of struggle, and sometimes, that means death. Myths and stories involving Nike. Myth number 1, the First War. During the Titanomachy, the great war between the old gods and the Olympians, Nike chose a side. While many gods waited to see who would win, Nike flew to Zeus's side before the battle even began. With her came Bia, Kratos, and Zealous. It is said that Zeus did not truly become king until Nike landed beside him. Her presence confirmed his victory, not as a hope, but as a destiny. Myth number 2, Achilles in the funeral games. After the death of Patroclus, Achilles holds funeral games in his honor, races, duels, contests of strength and skill. As the heroes compete, Nike watches. She isn't cheering, she's measuring. Not who tries the hardest, but who fate favors. And when the dust settles, Nike appears beside the winner, placing a wreath of leaves, or simply vanishing. Her presence felt like the hush after thunder. Myth number 3, Nike in the mortal soul. In later mystery cults, especially Orphic and Dionysian rites, Nike becomes more than a goddess of battle. She is seen as the spirit that guides the soul past its final struggle, the agon, the test, into freedom. For the initiated, death is not defeat. It is the ultimate victory, the escape from the cycle of rebirth. Nike, in this role, becomes psychopomp, winged and silent, bearing the soul toward Elysium, if it is worthy. Worship and depiction. Nike was both honored and felt. She had altars across Greece, often shared with Athena, goddess of strategy. Her statue once stood atop the Acropolis, wings outstretched, a reminder of divine favor earned, not given. In art, Nike is always in motion. Oh, winged, running, or flying. Oh, holding a wreath, palm, or a stylus recording a name. Oh, sometimes crowning a victor, sometimes silently observing. But there are no temples deep in the earth to her, because Nike doesn't wait. She arrives at the end of every story, and then she is gone. Number 3 is Iris. Most people know Iris as the personification of the rainbow, bright, colorful, and skybound. But in the older myths, she was something more, a divine messenger who could travel not just through the sky, but across all realms, Olympus, Earth, and the underworld. Iris is not only light, she is the bridge between light and shadow. Iris symbolizes the communication between realms, Iris serves as a link between gods and mortals, mortals and the dead, gods and gods. She is the unseen thread that delivers messages from one world to the next. Divine transition. As the rainbow touches both the sky and the earth, Iris represents movement, not only across space, but through states of being, from life to death, confusion to clarity. And she symbolizes purification and passage. In some traditions, Iris draws water from the river Styx to bind oaths, purify souls, or seal divine agreements. Though she is not wrathful or cruel, her presence always signals change, and sometimes, endings. Origins and family. Iris is the daughter of Thaumas, a sea deity, name meaning wonder, and Electra, an Oceanid nymph, name meaning shining. This gives Iris her unique nature, part sky, part sea. Her siblings include the Harpies, the storm spirits, making Iris their opposite, graceful, radiant, and fast as thought. And in later Roman myth, she is sometimes associated with Arcus, her rainbow form, which touches all realms like a divine tether. Iris in the underworld. Though she serves the Olympians, especially Hera, Iris is also one of the few gods permitted to enter the underworld without invitation. She carries messages to Hades and Persephone during times of crisis or divine decree. She draws water from the river Styx, a sacred river whose waters are used in the most serious divine oaths. In some traditions, Iris guides the dying, not like Hermes guiding the soul, but as the last color they see. The final beauty before the dark. Her rainbow, then, becomes a threshold, the soul passes under it, like a gate of light before entering the realm below. Myths and stories involving Iris. Myth number 1. The Last Oath of the Gods. When the gods must swear a sacred, irreversible oath, they do so upon the waters of the Styx, the only vow that cannot be broken. But who gathers these waters? Not Zeus. Not Hermes. Iris. She flies down from Olympus, her rainbow trailing behind her, and descends into the shadows. There, she fills a golden ewer from the Black River and brings it back. When the gods drink, their words become law. And if they lie, they fall into a year of silence and 9 more of exile. Only Iris is trusted to carry such a burden. Myth number 2, the rainbow after the storm. After the war with the Titans, as Zeus restructured the cosmos, many feared the chaos had broken the boundaries between worlds. Death leaked into life. Fear clouded the air. Iris was sent to weave the realms back together. Her rainbow stitched sky to sea, mountain to underworld. It was said that wherever her arc touched the earth, peace followed, a sign that the gods had reclaimed order. This is why, even today, a rainbow after a storm is seen as a divine sign. Iris has passed by. Myth number 3, the silent summons. In some Orphic texts, Iris is invoked during soul purification rituals. Not to guide the soul, but to invite the gods to witness. When a mortal prepares for death, a rainbow-colored thread is offered in ritual. It is said to call Iris down. If she comes, the soul may speak its final truth. If she does not, the truth remains buried in shadow. Worship and depiction. Iris was worshipped quietly, more acknowledged than adored. She had no major temples, but was often depicted in sacred spaces as a bridge between deities. In votive offerings, artists painted or carved her with wings like a bird, a herald's staff, Karakian, a water pitcher from the Styx, flowing robes that ripple with all the colors of the sky. She is often shown in motion, never resting. Because Iris is not a goddess of being, but of becoming. Number 4 is Nemesis. Most people know Nemesis as the goddess of revenge, cold, calculating, and relentless. But that's only part of the story. In the older myths, she is not simply a force of punishment, but of balance. Nemesis is justice, not the kind that favors the mighty, but the kind that humbles the proud. She is the reckoning that follows arrogance. The evening of the scales when mortals, and even gods, go too far. Nemesis symbolizes retribution, not revenge. She doesn't punish out of anger. She responds to hubris, the overreaching pride or arrogance that offends the natural order. When someone takes more than their share, Nemesis restores equilibrium. She also symbolizes divine justice. While Dike, another goddess, represents justice through law and morality, Nemesis is the force that acts when that justice is broken. She is the backlash of the cosmos. The last thing she symbolizes is Fortune's shadow. Nemesis is often paired with Tyche, the goddess of luck. Where Tyche lifts someone up, Nemesis waits to bring them back down, not out of cruelty, but to keep fate from tilting too far. Origins and family. Nemesis is usually said to be the daughter of the goddess Nyx, the primordial goddess of shadows and mystery. In some versions, she is born without a father, sprung from Nyx alone, like a judgment that needs no permission. In other myths, she is the daughter of the god Erebus, the god of darkness, or even of Oceanus, the titan of the ocean, giving her a more fluid and universal reach. This uncertain origin reflects her nature, ancient, independent, and unanswerable. Nemesis and the gods. Unlike other minor deities, Nemesis doesn't serve the Olympians, she keeps them in check. When Narcissus rejected all love and adored only his own image, Nemesis was the one who made him fall for his reflection, a punishment not out of malice, but mere justice. She is invoked when power goes unchecked, when arrogance festers, or when mortals cry out for divine balance. Myths and stories involving Nemesis. Myth number 1, the fall of Narcissus. Narcissus was beautiful, admired by all, and dismissive of everyone. One day, a rejected lover prayed for justice. Nemesis heard. She led Narcissus to a still pool. There, he saw his own reflection and fell in love with it. Unable to reach or leave it, he wasted away. Not because Nemesis hated him, but because he had to see what he had become. Myth number 2, the scales of Troy. Before the Trojan War, many omens were given. But when Agamemnon took Briseis from Achilles, an act of pride, Nemesis was said to have turned her gaze toward the Greeks. From that moment, their fortunes began to tilt. Though not always named in the epics, Nemesis was there, behind the downfall, behind the hubris of heroes. Myth number 3, the winged chase. In some myths, Zeus pursued Nemesis, wishing to possess her. She fled, transforming into many animals, fish, bird, deer, always just out of reach. Finally, she became a goose, and Zeus a swan. From this union, she laid an egg. That egg was given to Leda, and from it, Helen of Troy was born. This story links Nemesis to Helen, whose beauty caused a war, perhaps a hidden warning: beauty and pride, unbalanced, breed disaster. Worship and depiction. Nemesis was worshipped widely across Greece, especially in times of unrest or after victory, when pride threatened to rise. She had temples, most famously at Rhamnus, where she was revered as a guardian of justice and protector of balance. She is often depicted holding a measuring rod or scales, to weigh deeds, or a sword or whip to deliver consequence. And sometimes she has wings, because no one can outrun retribution. Usually, there is a wheel in the picture, to depict the cycle of fortune. And sometimes, she wears a crown of stags, signifying the hunted, and the hunter. Number 5 is Tyche. Most people know Tyche as the goddess of luck, that mysterious force that gives fortune to some and misfortune to others. But she's not just a symbol of chance. In older traditions, Tyche is a force of fate, fortune, and fragile balance, the spinning wheel on which kingdoms rise and fall. She doesn't simply bring good luck. She brings whatever luck comes next. Tyche symbolizes fortune, both good and bad. Tyche is not a goddess of blessing or curse. She is the randomness of life, the unexpected turn. One day she lifts you up, the next, she may let go. She also symbolizes fate's shifting hand. She is closely linked to the Moirai, the fates, but where they spin the thread, Tyche decides how it tangles, or untangles. She's the moment when a plan meets reality. And the last thing she symbolizes is civic fortune. In later times, cities began to see Tyche not only as a personal force, but as the spirit of an entire city's destiny, its rise, glory, or ruin. Origins and family. Tyche is usually said to be the daughter of Oceanus and Tethys, the titans of the ocean and fresh water, making her one of the many Oceanids, the freshwater nymphs, but with a far greater domain. In some accounts, she is also a daughter of Zeus, the king of the gods, which would explain her ability to bestow or revoke fortune from kings and empires alike. Her companions vary by tradition, but she is often paired with Nemesis, the goddess of balance, who follows in her wake to restore balance, or the Agathos daimon, the good spirit of fortune in households and cities. Tyche in the world. Tyche is one of the most unpredictable deities in Greek myth, not cruel, not kind, simply unconcerned. She represents a universe that doesn't always reward the worthy or punish the wicked, only chance decides. The Greeks turned to Tyche when plans failed for no reason, or when unexpected success fell into their laps. She was a way to explain the unexplainable, the swing of events beyond logic or merit. Myths and stories involving Tyche. Myth number 1, the rise and fall of cities. As empires expanded across the Mediterranean, Tyche became the guardian of each city's fate. Cities even crafted their own versions of her: Tyche of Athens, Tyche of Antioch, Tyche of Rome. In art, she wore a city wall as her crown, holding a cornucopia in one hand, for abundance, and a rudder in the other, steering the city's future. But when cities grew too proud, Tyche would turn her wheel. Myth number 2, the rudder and the wheel. One tale tells of a sailor who prayed to Tyche during a storm. His ship, battered and sinking, was suddenly carried to shore by a strange current. He built a shrine to Tyche there. But years later, he returned as a wealthy merchant, boasting he had conquered the sea himself. That same night, a wave struck his ship in perfect weather. Tyche had turned her rudder, not out of vengeance, but to remind him, "You were never steering." Myth number 3, the banquet of the gods. In one obscure myth, Tyche is invited to a feast of the gods. She sits silently as each deity boasts of their powers: war, wisdom, love, the sea. When it's her turn, she says nothing. Instead, she drops a die onto the floor. It lands, and all the gods fall silent, remembering that no matter their strength or plan, fate still rolls the dice. Worship and depiction. Tyche was widely worshipped in the Hellenistic and Roman worlds, especially in cities and port towns, where fortune was life or death. She had a temple in Antioch, where her most famous statue stood, Tyche seated, crowned with city walls, 1 foot on the river god Orontes. And she also had a temple in Alexandria, Corinth, and later, Rome, where Fortuna, her Roman name, became a powerful civic goddess. When she is depicted, she usually wears a crown of battlements, symbolizing city sovereignty. Sometimes she holds a cornucopia, for abundance. Or sometimes, she wears a blindfold, showing that luck is impartial. Number 6 is Hebe. Most people know Hebe as the goddess of youth, the eternal freshness that time can't touch. But she's not just a symbol of looking young. Hebe represents renewal, vitality, and the ever-returning energy of life. She is the cupbearer of the gods, but more than that, she is what fills the cup. Hebe symbolizes youth and vitality. Hebe isn't just about physical beauty or springtime energy. She is the essence of rejuvenation, the force that restores strength, not only in body, but in spirit. When the gods grow weary, she fills their cup, and with it, their power returns. She also symbolizes service and grace. As cupbearer of Olympus, Hebe's role seems humble, but it places her at the heart of divine order. She serves not because she is lesser, but because she is trusted. She brings balance, elegance, and duty, a reminder that even gods need support. And the last thing she symbolizes is marriage and harmony. Later myths tell of her union with Heracles, a mortal made divine. Through this marriage, Hebe symbolizes harmony between strength and serenity, might and gentleness. She is the peaceful home after a life of war. Origins and family. Hebe is the daughter of Zeus and Hera, the king and queen of the gods. Unlike many gods born from chaos or conflict, Hebe is born of divine order and royal union. This gives her a unique place in Olympus, beloved of both her parents and trusted by all. She is often seen beside her mother, Hera, acting as her attendant, especially in matters of marriage and family. Hebe in the world. Though not as famous as Athena or Artemis, Hebe plays a quiet, powerful role. She is renewal made divine, the moment when strength returns, when hope is rekindled. In a world where everything ages, Hebe is the exception. She is what makes second chances possible, what lets even the gods begin again. Mortals rarely prayed to her directly, but artists, poets, and philosophers often mentioned her as a symbol of ideal youth. In Roman tradition, she was sometimes merged with Juventus, the spirit of young soldiers and civic renewal. Myths and stories involving Hebe. Myth number 1, the fall of Ganymede. When Zeus abducts Ganymede to serve as cupbearer, some say it was Hebe he replaced. Others say she stepped aside willingly, or temporarily. But this tale shows the fragility of even divine roles, and how Hebe, like youth itself, can be taken for granted. Myth number 2, the wedding of Heracles and Hebe. After Heracles dies and is brought to Olympus as a god, he is given Hebe as his bride. This union marks his true redemption, not just in strength, but in spirit. Together, they become symbols of eternal youth and earned peace. Some myths say their children, Alexiers and Anicetus, guarded Olympus, young gods of strength and safety. Myth number 3, the cup that never empties. One lesser-known tale tells of a mortal artist who dreams of the gods' feast. He sees Hebe walking among them, refilling every goblet, and notices her cup never runs dry. He asks why. She smiles and says, because the gods still believe in joy. When he wakes, he paints her image, and says it gave him back his will to live. Worship and depiction. While Hebe didn't have widespread cults, she was honored in a few key places. Phlius, her mother Hera's sacred city, had a local festival in her honor. In Athens, young men about to enter adulthood made offerings to Hebe, asking for strength, clarity, and courage. In art, Hebe is usually shown as a beautiful maiden, often with wings, a golden cup in her hand, and a soft, timeless expression. She may be pouring nectar for the gods, or walking beside Hera. Sometimes, she's shown with Heracles, a calm presence beside his heroic form. Number 7 is Pan. Most people know Pan as the god of the wild, half man, half goat, playing his pipes in lonely forests. But he's not just a rustic figure of old hills and flocks. Pan is a primal force, the echo in the mountains, the fear that strikes without reason, the freedom of life untouched by cities or rules. Pan symbolizes the wild and untamed. Pan is the spirit of nature at its rawest, not cultivated gardens, but deep woods, lonely pastures, sudden winds. He is the pulse of the wilderness, unpredictable, fertile, chaotic. He protects shepherds, guides animals, and watches over the hidden places of the world. He also symbolizes panic and ecstasy. The word panic comes from Pan. His sudden presence, his cries from the hills, could drive soldiers or travelers into uncontrollable fear. But he also brings rapture. His music inspires joy, dancing, and frenzied inspiration. Pan reminds us that awe and terror often live side by side. The last thing he symbolizes is fertility and desire. Pan is a god of fertility, not in the refined sense of courtship or marriage, but in the raw instinct of nature. He chases nymphs, sings love songs, and stirs desire in gods and mortals alike. He represents life's drive to grow, to mate, to bloom without shame. Origins and family. Pan's origins vary, but he is often said to be the son of Hermes, god of trade, and a nymph. Other sources state that he is the son of Dryope, Penelope, or Callisto. From Hermes, he inherits speed and trickery. From nature, he inherits instinct and wildness. He was born with goat legs, horns, and a beard, and yet the gods delighted in him. Even Apollo, god of music, honored Pan for his musical gifts. Pan has no throne on Olympus. He lives in Arcadia, the mountainous heartland of Greece, untouched by time. There, he walks among satyrs and nymphs, playing his syrinx, the panpipes, and watching over fields and flocks. Pan in the world. Pan is not a city god. He does not guide empires or bless temples. He lives where humans are guests, not rulers. In the countryside, Pan is sacred, found in shady groves, spring-fed caves, and lonely valleys. To encounter him is to feel both wonder and vulnerability. The Greeks respected Pan and feared him. A shepherd might offer him honey or milk for protection. A traveler might pray to avoid his sudden rage. Pan is freedom without form, joy without etiquette, power without control. He reminds us that civilization is a thin veil, and nature still watches from the hills. Myths and stories involving Pan. Myth number 1, the creation of the panpipes. Pan once fell in love with the nymph Syrinx, who fled his pursuit. At the river's edge, she begged for escape, and was transformed into reeds. Pan, heartbroken, cut the reeds and fashioned them into his instrument. So the panpipes were born, a song made from longing. Myth number 2, Pan and the defeat of the giants. In the great war between gods and giants, Pan played a strange role. He let out a terrifying, inhuman shout, so fierce it sent the giants fleeing. This became known as panic, divine fear from a primal god. Myth number 3, Pan in the contest with Apollo. Pan once challenged Apollo, the god of music, to a contest. Pan played his wild pipes, Apollo his lyre. King Midas judged in Pan's favor, and Apollo, offended, gave Midas donkey ears. The story isn't just about pride, it's about the eternal clash between civilization and the wild. Worship and depiction. Pan was worshipped mostly in rural Greece, especially in Arcadia. His shrines were not grand temples, but caves and groves, wild places fitting for a wild god. In Athens, he gained fame after the Battle of Marathon, where soldiers claimed he had inspired fear in the enemy. He is usually depicted as half-man, half-goat, with shaggy legs, small horns, and a bearded face. Sometimes he dances, sometimes he lounges, often with a grin or a lustful glance. He holds a panpipe in one hand, the sound of wild nature-made music. Number 8 is Eos. Most people know Eos as the goddess of the dawn, the soft light before sunrise, the rosy fingers that open the sky. But she's not just the color of morning. Eos is the first breath of the day, a herald of hope, restlessness, and renewal. She moves between night and day, shadow and light, and with every sunrise, she begins the world again. Eos symbolizes new beginnings. Eos is the fresh start, the reset, the blank slate. Every day, she rises from Oceanus and crosses the sky, making way for Helios, the sun. She reminds us that no matter how dark the night, the dawn always returns. She also symbolizes transition and liminality. Eos exists in between, not of night, not yet of day. She is a liminal force, guiding the world from sleep to waking, from dreams to deeds. Like many dawn deities across cultures, she symbolizes the threshold, the moment just before change. And the last thing she symbolizes is love and longing. Eos is also known for her passionate heart. In myth after myth, she falls in love with mortal men. Some say it's because of a curse, others say it's simply her nature. Eos doesn't hide her desires. She chases them with beauty, grief, and devotion. Origins and family. Eos is a Titaness, daughter of Hyperion, the Titan of light, and Thea, the goddess of sight. That makes her sister to Helios, the sun, and Selene, the moon, the three celestial lights of the sky. Though she comes from the generation before the Olympians, Eos continued to be revered long after the Titanomachy. She is not a ruler, but she is irreplaceable. Every morning begins with her. Eos in the world. The Greeks saw Eos as a gentle but unstoppable force. She rode a golden chariot, drawn by winged horses, her robes stained with the colors of the sky. With dewdrops on her feet and light in her hair, she opened the gates of heaven for her brother Helios. But her beauty carried a tragic weight. Aphrodite, jealous of one of her affairs, cursed her with insatiable desire, especially for mortal men. And because she was immortal, she would watch her lovers age and die. Eos is the hope of each new day, but also the sorrow that comes with time. She brings beginnings, but cannot stop endings. Myths and stories involving Eos. Myth number 1, Eos and Tithonus. Eos fell deeply in love with Tithonus, a prince of Troy. She begged Zeus to grant him immortality, but forgot to ask for eternal youth. Tithonus lived forever, but withered into frailty, eventually shrinking into a grasshopper. Eos loved him still, even as time stole everything else. The myth is a warning: immortality without youth is not a gift, it's a curse. Myth number 2, the abduction of Orion. In one version of Orion's story, Eos takes the handsome hunter to be her lover. Their happiness is brief. Orion is killed, either by Artemis or a scorpion sent by Gaia. The tale shows Eos's restless yearning, and how her joy is always shadowed by loss. Myth number 3, the herald of the sun. Every day, Eos rises before her brother Helios. She opens the gates of the east with her own hands, scattering stars and waking birds. Without her, the sun cannot rise. She doesn't command the sky, but she begins it. Worship and depiction. Eos wasn't widely worshipped with temples or formal cults, but she was honored in poetry, art, and ritual language. She appears often in Homeric hymns, where she is called rosy-fingered and saffron-robed. Her presence marked the start of battle, the journey home, the turning of fate. In art, Eos is shown as a winged woman, draped in flowing robes, often reaching or flying forward. She might carry a torch, a chariot's reins, or the dew of morning. Sometimes, she is seen lifting the veil of night or scattering flowers across the sky. Number 9 is Selene. Most people know Selene as the goddess of the moon, drifting silently across the night sky in her silver chariot. But she's not just the moon itself. Selene is the rhythm of time, the pull of tides, the glow in darkness. She is calm and watchful, the eternal eye in the night sky. Selene symbolizes the power of the moon. Selene is the very embodiment of the moon's presence. She governs its phases, waxing, full, and waning. To the ancient Greeks, she wasn't just associated with the moon, she was the moon. Each night she rides her path across the sky, bathing the world in cold, gentle light. She also symbolizes cycles in time. Selene represents the passage of time not in hours, but in rhythms, the cycle of months, the pull of seasons, the changing tides. Her light grows and fades like breath. In many calendars, the moon marked the months, and Selene was time's quiet heartbeat. The last thing she symbolizes is dreams and stillness. While her sister Eos brings dawn and action, Selene brings stillness, reflection, and dreams. She rides when the world sleeps, watching, glowing, guarding. She is the light in darkness, not to conquer it, but to soften it. Origins and family. Selene is a Titaness, daughter of Hyperion, the Titan of light, and Thea, goddess of vision. That makes her sister to Helios, the sun, and Eos, the dawn, together, the celestial trio that rules the sky. Though the Olympians overthrew the Titans, Selene continued to hold her knightly place. Unlike Artemis, who later took on lunar aspects, Selene remains the moon itself, ancient, elemental, and eternal. Selene in the world. Selene's chariot is silver or pearl white, drawn by two winged horses, or sometimes bulls, whose horns resemble crescent moons. She travels the sky in silence, her robes glowing, a crown of light on her head. She was honored not just for her beauty, but her mystery. Unlike the sun, which reveals everything, the moon reveals only what it chooses. Selene is gentle but distant, radiant but unreachable, a goddess of both presence and absence. In many ways, she is the ideal of ancient divinity. Remote, timeless, serene, and deeply woven into the fabric of the world. Myths and stories involving Selene. Myth number 1, Selene and Endymion. This is her most famous story. Selene fell in love with Endymion, a beautiful mortal shepherd. To keep him with her forever, she asked Zeus to grant him eternal sleep. Each night, she visits him, watching or kissing him as he lies in perfect slumber, never aging, never waking. Some versions say he sleeps in a cave on Mount Latmos. Others say the moonlight itself is her touch upon him. The myth captures both romance and sorrow, a love forever present, yet never fully shared. Myth number 2, Selene and Pan. The wild god Pan once fell in love with Selene. To win her, he gave her a gift, a shining white fleece. Whether out of affection or amusement, Selene rode on his goat-backed chariot through the night. This strange pairing of moonlight and wildness shows Selene's unexpected depth, graceful, yes, but not unreachable or cold. Myth number 3, Selene as timekeeper. Though rarely told in direct myths, Selene played a key role in daily Greek life. Her phases guided planting and harvest, sacred rituals, and festivals. Every full moon was a sacred marker, the height of her power. To follow Selene was to live in rhythm with nature. Worship and depiction. Selene was honored more through poetry and ritual than grand temples. In many hymns, she is called radiant, bright-armed, or torch-bearing. Her presence was felt on moonlit nights, when prayers and offerings were made in silence. In art, Selene is shown as a beautiful woman with pale skin and a moon-shaped crown. She may carry a torch, ride her chariot, or walk across the sky draped in flowing robes. Sometimes she is winged. Sometimes she is veiled, her face hidden, like the moon during eclipse. Selene's Roman counterpart is Luna, who was worshipped more formally in later periods, especially in relation to magic, fertility, and mystery rites. Number 10 is Helios. Most people know Helios as the sun god, the one who drives a flaming chariot across the sky each day. But Helios is more than just light. He is sight, memory, truth, the unblinking eye of heaven. He sees everything, hides nothing, and burns through illusion with every rising dawn. Helios symbolizes solar power and light. Helios is the very essence of sunlight, bright, burning, and constant. He does not represent the sun, he is the sun. Each morning, he rises from the edge of the world, drives his chariot across the sky, and descends into the far west, lighting the earth and sky. He also symbolizes sight and witness. Because he sees all from above, Helios was invoked as a divine witness. In oaths and curses, people called on Helios to see the truth and punish lies. He is the eye of justice, not blind, but all-seeing. The last thing he symbolizes is unyielding truth. Helios is not gentle. His light reveals what others would hide. He exposes secrets, reveals betrayal, and shines on the guilty as easily as the innocent. His power lies not in judgment, but in illumination. Origins and family. Helios is a Titan, son of Hyperion, the Titan of light, and Thea, goddess of sight. His sisters are Selene, goddess of the moon, and Eos, the goddess of the dawn. Together, the three siblings form the core of the sky's daily cycle. After the Titans were overthrown by the Olympians, Helios retained his cosmic role. Though Apollo later became more associated with the sun, Helios remained a separate and powerful force, especially in older myths. Helios in the world. Helios rides a golden chariot pulled by 4 blazing horses, often named Pyroas, Eos, Ethon, and Phlegon. He rises from the eastern sea at dawn, travels the full arch of the sky by midday, and sinks into Oceanus at sunset. At night, he journeys back in a golden cup or bark beneath the earth, ready to rise again. The ancients feared and respected him. His light gave life, but could also scorch. He could bless crops or wither them. He was the flame that never flickered, steady, unmerciful, divine. Myths and stories involving Helios. Myth number 1, Helios and the fall of Troy. In the Iliad, when oaths are sworn, Helios is invoked as a witness. He is the cosmic guarantee that truth cannot be hidden forever. When treachery breaks oaths, Helios sees and remembers. Myth number 2, Helios and the island of Thrinacia. In the Odyssey, Odysseus and his crew land on Thrinacia, Helios' sacred island, home to his immortal cattle. Despite warnings, the crew slaughters the animals. Helios demands vengeance, threatening to shine no more. Zeus strikes the ship with a storm, killing the crew. Only Odysseus survives. It's a myth about sacred law and the price of violating divine boundaries. Myth number 3, Phaeton's ride. Helios had a mortal son, Phaeton, who begged to drive the sun chariot for one day. Reluctantly, Helios agreed. But Phaeton lost control. The horses veered wildly, scorching the earth and freezing the sky. Zeus struck him down with a thunderbolt to save the world. Helios mourned deeply. The myth reminds us, divine power is not for mortal hands. Even light can destroy. Worship and depiction. Helios was worshipped across the Greek world, especially in Rhodes, where he was the patron god. The famous Colossus of Rhodes, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, was a statue of Helios, towering, radiant, crowned with sunbeams. In art, Helios is shown as a youthful, radiant man with a shining crown or aureole. He often stands in his chariot, or driving it across the heavens with fire streaming behind. Sometimes, his eyes blaze like the sun itself, golden, direct, and impossible to escape. In later periods, Helios was merged with Apollo, but his older identity remained distinct, the pure sun, not as music or prophecy, but as power, fire, and vision. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want a video about a specific mythological being, let us know in the comments. And remember, light is not always kind. It doesn't ask who deserves to be seen, it simply sees. Like Helios, truth may burn, but it also clears the shadows. Let it rise.